Imagine a world where every city, every home, every village on Earth could be powered by invisible energy flowing through the air. No wires, no power plants, no electricity bills. This wasn't a fantasy. This was real. It was designed over a century ago by a man who gave us the foundation of modern electricity, Nikola Tesla. But here's the part that almost no one tells you. Tesla's greatest invention wasn't destroyed by physics. It wasn't impossible. It wasn't even too advanced. It was destroyed by something far uglier. Jealousy. The jealousy of powerful men who couldn't bear the thought of Tesla giving the world something they couldn't own, couldn't control, couldn't profit from. This is the tragic story of how jealousy crushed Nikola Tesla's greatest dream, and why humanity may still be paying the price. Before we dive in, hit that like button and watch all the way till the end to show these stories deserve the spotlight. Tesla's story begins in 1856, in a small village in what is now Croatia. His father was a priest, his mother an inventor of simple tools and devices, though she had no formal education. Tesla would later say,
"My mother was the true inventor in the family."
From childhood, Tesla's mind was different. He could memorize entire books after a single reading. He saw sudden visions, blinding flashes of light that brought with them images of machines and ideas no one had ever seen. Where others saw darkness, Tesla saw electricity. Where others saw storms, Tesla saw power waiting to be harnessed. One childhood story tells of Tesla building a water wheel using nothing but scraps. Another describes him calculating complex logarithms in his head for fun. But perhaps the most telling part of his youth was his loneliness. His mind was so far ahead of his time that few could understand him. It made him feel like an outsider, a boy out of place, and that feeling would haunt him for life. Years later, Tesla's journey carried him across Europe and finally to America in 1884, with little more than a letter of introduction to Thomas Edison. He arrived in New York with 4 cents in his pocket. 4 cents. But inside his mind, he carried visions that would one day shape the modern world. Tesla worked briefly for Edison, but the two clashed almost immediately. Edison believed in hard work, trial and error, and profit. Tesla believed in imagination, perfection, and giving to humanity. Edison promised Tesla $50,000 if he improved Edison's electrical systems. When Tesla did, Edison laughed and said,
"You don't understand how we Americans joke."
That betrayal ended their partnership forever. Tesla left, broke and hungry, digging ditches just to survive. But he never stopped dreaming, and soon, those dreams would grow larger than anyone could have imagined. Tesla's true masterpiece was not AC, it was Wardenclyffe. On Long Island, New York, Tesla began constructing a massive wooden and steel tower nearly 200 feet tall. To onlookers, it looked bizarre. To Tesla, it was the key to humanity's future. The Wardenclyffe Tower was designed to transmit electricity through the Earth itself. No wires, no boundaries, entire cities powered by the planet. Ships at sea, fueled by invisible energy. Villages in deserts lit without cables. And communication, instant, wireless, across the globe. Decades before anyone had even dreamed of cell phones or the internet. But here's the part that made it revolutionary and dangerous. It would be free. Tesla didn't care about profit. He wanted humanity to rise together, but that belief turned powerful men against him. To build Wardenclyffe, Tesla needed money. Enter J.P. Morgan, the most powerful financier of the era. Morgan saw dollar signs. He believed Tesla was building a wireless telegraph system that could send messages across the Atlantic faster than ever. And that meant profit. Tesla accepted Morgan's investment. Work began. But then Tesla revealed the truth. His invention could transmit unlimited energy freely to anyone. Morgan's reaction was ice cold. He asked Tesla,
"If it's free, where do I put the meter?"
Because if you can't charge for it, if you can't control it, if you can't profit from it, what good is it to men like J.P. Morgan? The jealousy of the rich isn't like desire. They don't want more, they're afraid of losing what they already control. And Tesla's tower was a real threat to their energy empire. Morgan pulled his funding. Worse, he spread the word. No one else was to invest in Tesla. And when Morgan whispered, the financial world obeyed. The press turned on Tesla. They mocked him as unstable, eccentric, delusional. The same genius once celebrated as the wizard of electricity became a punchline. His tower, unfinished, stood as a monument to broken dreams. By 1917, Wardenclyffe was demolished. Its steel was sold for scrap, and with it, humanity lost a chance at free energy. Tesla's life after Wardenclyffe was not an immediate collapse, but rather a slow, painful decline. His mind never stopped racing. Even as the world ignored him, he filled notebooks with new concepts, visions of technology decades, even centuries ahead of his time. He described weapons he called death rays, beams of concentrated energy that, in his view, could make warfare obsolete. He spoke of machines that could control weather. He described systems of communication that sound eerily like modern Wi-Fi, radar, and even unmanned aerial drones. To Tesla, these were not fantasies. They were blueprints of the future. But to investors and governments of the time, they sounded like the ramblings of a man detached from reality. He was laughed at, brushed aside, and without money, even the greatest inventor in the world could not bring his visions to life. Tesla became increasingly isolated. He wandered the streets of New York, dressed in worn suits that looked out of another era. He lived in a series of hotels, moving whenever he could no longer afford the bill. His companions were no longer the brilliant scientists or wealthy financiers of his earlier years, but pigeons in the park. He fed them daily, sometimes spending what little money he had on bags of seed rather than food for himself. There is a story perhaps the most heartbreaking of all of a white pigeon he nursed after she was injured. Tesla said he loved that pigeon as one loves a human being. And when she eventually died, he claimed a part of him died with her. It wasn't eccentricity, it was loneliness. The world that once celebrated him as the wizard of electricity had no place for him anymore. His ideas were too big, too unprofitable, too threatening to the powers that controlled industry. Meanwhile, Edison, Tesla's rival, died rich and celebrated, his name etched into history as America's greatest inventor. J.P. Morgan's empire only grew stronger, fueled by the very control of energy that Tesla had tried to make free. Other inventors profited from ideas that Tesla himself had sketched out decades before. And Nikola Tesla, the man who once dreamed of lighting up the entire Earth, lived out his last years in poverty, wandering the city he had once electrified, shunned by the world he had tried to save. In January 1943, Tesla died alone in room 3327 of the New Yorker hotel. He was 86 years old. No family at his side, no grand recognition, just silence. When officials entered his room, they found papers and notebooks scattered across the desk and in drawers. Many were seized by the US government under the pretext of national security. Some vanished completely, never to be seen again. What was in those notes? Blueprints for his death ray? The final calculations for Wardenclyffe? Or perhaps entirely new visions of a future we still haven't reached? No one knows. And perhaps we never will. Tesla may have died alone, but his ideas never truly did. The world that once laughed at him slowly became the world he imagined. He spoke of wireless communication when people still relied on telegrams. Today, his vision hums through the air every time you send a message or make a call. He stunned crowds in 1898 with a small boat that moved as if by magic, the world's first remote control. They thought it was a trick, but it wasn't a one. And now, that same principle guides our drones, our satellites, even rovers exploring distant planets. And then there was his greatest dream, wireless energy. A dream mocked in his lifetime, yet one scientists still chase. From phones that charge without wires to experiments in powering cars through the air, echoes of Wardenclyffe remain. In so many ways, we already live in Tesla's world. But the invention that could have changed everything, that could have freed humanity itself, still lies buried, crushed beneath jealousy and greed. Tesla once said,
The present belongs to them, but the future I have worked for, belongs to me.
and maybe he was right. Because each flick of a light switch, each invisible signal sent across the globe, each spark carried without a wire, it all carries a piece of his dream. But it leaves us with a haunting question. If Wardenclyffe were rebuilt today, if Tesla's vision of free, limitless energy stood before us once again, would we finally embrace it? Or would the same jealousy that destroyed it once before rise again to stop it?